we're going to take a look at a passage of reading comprehension. In the actual exam, we'll be reading the questions first to get a sense of what we're trying to search for in the passage. In this video, I'll be reading the passage first. You can pause the video here and read it yourself. Then we'll be taking a look at each of the questions. So here goes the passage. Rural manual workers comprise the single largest occupational category in India. In 1991, according to the National Commission on Rural Labour, 60% of the workers in rural India were manual workers and they numbered more than 160 million. The changes in the working and living conditions of rural labourers are thus central to changes in the welfare of the rural population and of the country as a whole. The structure and working of rural labour markets in India is complex, as is well known. There is great diversity across regions and across segments of the labour market. This article brings together an interesting body of research that seeks to understand and explain the types of changes that have accrued in the structure of rural labour markets over the last few decades. The 1980s were characterized by an explosion of the rural labour force, slow employment growth in agriculture, and a rise in the share of non-agricultural employment. The decade was also characterized by a growing causalization of the workforce for a relative rise in casual employment as opposed to regular employment. At the same time, it was a period when agricultural wages increased in real terms and when income poverty declined. There was what may be called the tension between the estimated decline in poverty on the one hand and the slow growth of agricultural employment and increased casualization of the labor force on the other. Some of the trends in the development of rural labor for this period are a source of concern. These include, as Radhakrishnan and Sharma note, the continuous widening of the gap between labor productivity in agricultural and non-agricultural occupations, the burgeoning mass of rural casual workers who have no social security safety net, and the increasing number of women employed at very low wages in agriculture. Another matter for concern, one that emerges from a desegregation of data on rural unemployment by age groups, is that the incidence of unemployment is higher for persons in the age group of 15 to 29 than for any other age group. In other words, unemployment is typically high among new entrants to the workforce. In her review of trends in wages, employment and poverty, Sheila Bhalla shows that the real wages of agricultural labourers stagnated from the time of independence to the mid-1970s and then began to rise in all parts of the country. This was also the period in which the incidence of rural poverty began to decline. The rise in wages was not limited to the more prosperous agricultural zones, and Bhalla argues that the movement in real wages was correlated with the increase in the share of non-agricultural employment in total employment. As wages in non-agricultural work are typically higher than wages in agriculture, the expansion of non-farm work could also explain some of the decline in rural poverty. In the 1990s, the improvement in real wages and the decline in poverty were reversed, while agricultural employment expanded. Economic development all over the world has been associated with a rise in the share of employment in the secondary and tertiary sectors of the economy, and a fall in the share of the agricultural sector. In India, changes in the composition of the rural workforce in the 1990s points to a structural retrogression. Let's take a look at the questions. The first one, give an appropriate title to the passage. Well, the passage predominantly focuses on the rural labor market and the way it has changed. In fact, the very last line talks about structural retrogression, which is a change in the structure. So from the four options, option D, the changing structure of a rural labor market, would be the best title for this given passage. Second question, the author does not say. Well, in 1991, about 3/5, that is 60% of the workers in rural India were manual workers. This is mentioned. The decade of 80s was characterized by a relative rise in casual employment. Well, yes, this is mentioned. There is no gender bias among workers in agricultural sector. Well, he does not talk about this. The author does not mention this. Fourth one, wages in agricultural employment have been lesser than those in non-agricultural employment. A quick perusal through the passage will clearly indicate that option C is the one which the author does not talk about. Third question. Why is the increasing gap between labor productivity in agricultural and non-agricultural occupations a cause of concern, according to Radhakrishnan and Sharma? Well, the names Radhakrishnan and Sharma are mentioned only once in the passage. And if you just search for these names in the passage, the lines near it clearly indicate that option B. This would lead to pressure on both the agricultural and non-agricultural sectors, as whichever sector expands at the expense of the other, that would be increased labor pressure on that sector and lesser economic development in the other, right? So this is a straightforward pick from the given passage based on the names which have been mentioned. Fourth question. How does Bhalla explain the fact that the real wages of agricultural laborers began to rise in all parts of the country after mid-70s? Well, the explanation given by Sheila Bhalla is given in the latter part of the passage, and the long option, there was a mass outflow of agricultural laborers into the non-agricultural sectors, and the remaining laborers who were lesser in number now apportioned the existing agricultural sector wealth, getting richer individually. So again, it's like the previous question, search for the name and then read the passage to get a clear answer on what the option should be. Fifth one. What is the most important problem in understanding the condition of rural labor markets in India? Well, clearly the passage says that the rural labor markets are very complex and there's a great diversity across regions, right? A quick perusal of the latter part of the passage will help you identify this as the clear-cut answer to this particular question. Sixth question. What sort of tension exists between the decline of poverty and the slow growth of agricultural employment and increased casualization of the labor force? Again, the latter part of the passage deals with this, that a decline in rural poverty is only possible when there is increased agricultural employment and lower casualization of the labor force. Search for the word casualization mentioned about 3 times in the passage and you will be able to identify the answer to this particular question. What sort of passage is this? Well, clearly it talks a lot about labor and markets. So clearly it's an economic passage because it deals with 2 important things in economy, that is the labor and the markets. Eighth one. The author does not say which of the following statements in the passage. The second one, that the economic development basically means a rise in the share employment in the agricultural sector at the expense of secondary and tertiary sector. You will be able to find the other 3 statements in the passage, but not this one. So B is not what the author says. Ninth one. Why are the changes in the working and living conditions of rural manual workers of utmost significance in the country as a whole? Well, the latter part of the passage talks about how the rural manual workers form a bulk of the overall rural workers and how the change in their living standards is very good for the country as a whole. So option C is clearly the answer to this particular question.